The Labour leader out today in Coventry, minus the albatross around his neck. The £28 billion pledge at the heart of his green strategy, shelved yesterday after weeks of speculation.
So how it stopped? Is that because we're here?
The machinery of government wouldn't allow it, he says, what with promises to get debt down.
Because of the damage that the Tories have done to the economy, we can't now do everything that we wanted to do. I'd much rather be straight with the British public than make a promise that I can't keep.
Instead, he stands accused by the government and some of his own MPs of U-turns. His manifesto, one eye-catching policy down.
What Labour announced yesterday just demonstrates what we've been saying, is they absolutely don't have a plan. Their signature economic policy is in tatters.
Labour's Green Prosperity Plan was set to be the UK's answer to America's turbo investment in green industry.
So it's called a parallel.
And so this is what a Labour government will do. We will deliver a British version of the Inflation Reduction Act, our Green Prosperity Plan.
It was Shadow Climate Secretary Ed Miliband's brainchild, the Conservatives today, quick to turn around a personalised attack ad. The original £28 billion a year for green investment pledged by Labour will now be £4.7 billion a year.
It's obviously really, really disappointing. It's going to make it harder for a Labour government, if elected, to meet its legally binding climate obligations. But that said, it's still a pretty ambitious plan, and it would take a Labour government further than the current government's plans.
Slashed of funds for its national insulation scheme, but still standing, Labour's plans for a state-owned energy company and a fund to decarbonise heavy industry. Half of its green spending will come from borrowing, the other half a windfall tax on oil and gas that one CEO claimed today would lead to thousands of job losses. The energy industry's largest lobby group says it's not so much the cash as the consistency that's missed.
We've not really been calling for public sector investment so much as we've been calling for things like sorting out the grid and sorting out the planning system, the stuff that's really slowing us down in delivery. The issue for us has been the way it's been communicated back and forth over several weeks and now a decision quite late in the week. That's fine, Labour are in opposition, but were they in government and to do that to the market at short notice, the investors would be on the phone, because what investors hate is uncertainty.
The majority of green transition investment will come from the private sector, the government of the day providing the carrot. But that carrot, Labour's decided, has got too costly. Not just for budgets, but for its vote share too. That headline figure watered down and now scrapped in the name of economic responsibility.
Well, earlier I spoke to the Shadow Climate Secretary, Ed Miliband, and started by asking him why he had initially pushed for the £28 billion investment plan.
Well, it was a collective idea of Keir Starmer, Rachel Reeves and myself, which is we need to invest in the green economy because this is the right thing to do to cut energy bills, to make us energy independent and to have jobs and growth. And that's why I'm glad that we're carrying on doing that, even albeit at smaller scale.
But it's at a much smaller scale, isn't it? So when you talk about, we have this plan, we need to do it, it's the right thing to do. Do we no longer need it on that scale and it's no longer the right thing to do?
But what's happened, Jackie, is that the public finances have got a lot worse than when we announced the plan originally. But I am incredibly proud of the bold agenda we will present to the electorate.
You have gone in 2 years from a promise of £28 billion for each and every year this decade. Rachel Reeves emphasised that each and every year, to £28 billion by the end of the Parliament, to now around £4.7 billion. Was the £28 billion figure always nonsense?
No, it wasn't. It was an ambition to invest across the economy.
It was a pledge, it was a commitment. It was a commitment.
In green investment. And the truth is, as I've said, that the public finances have changed, have worsened. But as I say, my test of what we've come out with is does it meet the scale of challenge? And it absolutely is something we can proudly say to the electorate, this will be transformative for our country. And also there's a contrast here, a choice at this election between a Labour Party committed to this bold agenda, to invest in the green economy, to cut bills, to have energy independence, and a Conservative Party that is slipping towards climate denial.
There's also a test of keeping your promises. There's a test of not flip-flopping. There's a test of not U-turning. Quite clearly, Rachel Reeves, Shadow Chancellor, laid out £28 billion each and every year 2 years ago. Why
subject
now?
to our fiscal
Why
rules.
now? She
Subject
didn't
to-
say that
she
at the
did
time.
absolutely say that. Look, in that speech that she gave at the party conference, she absolutely said it was subject to our fiscal rules. She was clear we were going to meet our fiscal rules. And this is the point I'm making to you, Jackie, which is, yes, absolutely we're going to invest in the green economy, and we're going to do so in a way that is fiscally responsible. And I think, sitting in my constituency in Doncaster, I think that's what people want
But do you see what I'm saying about people want certainty? People want to know when you commit to something that you will deliver it. In June last year, you said in a tweet, some people don't want Britain to invest in the green economy. They want us to back down.
We are going to invest in the green economy, Jackie.
Keir, Rachel and I will never let that happen. We're committed to this. Never has turned into now quite quickly, hasn't it?
But sorry, we are absolutely investing in the green economy. I mean, I do think it's important to lay out what we are doing. Something like £23.7 billion over the course of the Parliament, so that we can have warmer homes and slash fuel poverty in our country, so we can invest in our ports, in steel, in electric battery factories, so we can have the largest investment in a new publicly owned GB energy firm in our country. Now, just objectively looking at that, Jackie, a fair-minded person wouldn't say that's a small agenda. They'd say that's a big agenda. But look,
did you ever consider resigning? I mean, this was your idea.
Absolutely.
It's a policy that you have wrapped yourself around.
Absolutely not.
Not for 1 second did you think
And
this
no,
is humiliating.
no.
We're going back on a promise.
No.
I'm resigning.
No, absolutely not.
Why
for
not?
1 second. But because the test I apply is, are we going to go into the next election? If we're the next government, am I going to be able to be the energy secretary who can genuinely say Britain is leading the world, Britain is going to move the dial on climate? And that is the test. That's why I'm in frontline. That's why let me finish this point. That's why I'm in frontline politics, because I care so much about this cause. And my test of what we've come out with is, does it meet the criteria I have? And absolutely it does. And
so you didn't resign. You didn't resign because you're hoping to be energy secretary in government.
Let me just make this point. I have a responsibility. I was in frontline politics as leader. Frontline politics has its kind of strain, shall we say. I came back to do this job, and I feel in a position of responsibility, which is I can make a difference. And so the only thing I can do, the only right thing to do, is to fight for the maximum possible ambition and to make sure that in government we can make a difference. And I'm confident we can.
Can I ask you very specifically then? You didn't resign. You didn't consider it for a moment, which is, you talk about fair-minded people. I think fair-minded, reasonable people might be surprised by that when, a commitment of 28 billion turns into 4.7 billion.
Why would I think about doing that when we have a massive agenda to invest in the future, invest in the future of the country? I think people would look and say, "What, you're going to walk away from that?" Absolutely not.
Can I just ask then? It is, by any measure, very much smaller than the promise that was made 2 years ago. Politically, you have to accept, surely, that this adds to the criticism of Sir Keir Starmer, that he is not a brave politician, he is not a conviction politician, he is too worried by, and that this is the claim that's been made over the last few days, that all the Conservative fire on the 28 billion has made him panic and made him retreat.
I think what this shows is that we are determined to show that we are economically responsible, which I think is what the country absolutely wants, and we are determined to also pursue a bold, radical, transformative agenda. And you know what I'm looking forward to most is going out and explain to people what this agenda is, because I think as we get the chance to do that now, I think people will see this is genuinely transformative. And our job is partly to restore people's faith that politics can make a difference.
That's exactly the point, though, isn't it?
Politics can make a difference.
That is exactly the point. To restore people's faith, they have to have trust. They have to believe when you say you're going to do something, you'll do it. That's been a consistent problem for Sir Keir Starmer, hasn't it?
I don't accept that. I think what people want is a sense of, how is this going to change my life? And when I'm able to say to people, we're going to insulate people's homes to slash fuel poverty, we're going to do what this constituency
millions
wanted,
fewer homes insulated, won't there? That's a fact, isn't it? It will be millions and millions fewer in the short term.
It will take us longer to achieve what we want to achieve. That is correct. But what this constituency wants, what people who live in my constituency want, is they want good jobs. And this is what green investment offers. They want a publicly owned energy company. So, look, I feel we will be able to go into this election with a manifesto that is bold, that is transformative, that is radical, that is a massive contrast to the Tories, and that's what matters to me.
Ed Miliband, thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you.